Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Jared at 3Cs. I am so excited today because for the first time ever in Beta's history, they are offering a true off-road race bike. There's always been the race model, which we all know comes with a KYB suspension and some blingy stuff, but it's always been so close to the RR model that you're kind of flipping a coin. You're kind of just buying suspension. It wasn't a lot of differences. So this is a good start. It's not where I want it to be, but maybe Beta's listening in their email here to the dealers, and I think they did a full press release. They talk about how they got a lot of emails from customers. So thank you to you guys for emailing Beta because that kind of pushes hand and like decides what models come next. And this is something that we've all really wanted. So this is the first start of it. It's a 2025 Beta 450 RC. So not an RX, not an RR, not an RE, RC. So RC is an off-road race bike. And the only model for this year yet, and they're still introducing things, so maybe there's a chance, is a 450cc. So it's a four-stroke model. Obviously, like all the big GNCC guys, like the main guys in XC1 Pro are all on four strokes. So the two-stroke thing isn't quite as critical for them. But I would say the general public, all the guys behind Pro Row, the rest of the field, in local hair scrambles, I think two strokes are alive and well for sure. So my goal or my hope is that we see a 200 two-stroke and a 300 two-stroke in this model. You don't have to go nuts, don't have to make the whole model range, but the 300 to be perfect, and then a 200 would be really cool as well. So what makes the RC the RC? So let's scroll down. We're doing this in one take. Just got back in town from being gone for 10 days and I have a lot to do. So RC, very excited. Kind of weird, it still has the 5-speed gearbox. There's nothing wrong with that. I just haven't ridden one in the woods yet. So we're pretty used to a 6-speed gearbox. Maybe 5 is perfect because you're in a 450, plenty of torque. It can overcome if it's not in the perfect gear. So I think it's fine. And I was actually just on Yamaha's website and Honda's website, and they are both a 5-speed gearbox as well. So, and what I'm referring to there is the YZ450FX, which is Yamaha's off-road race bike, and the Honda CRF 450RX. So, very similar bikes here to what Beta just produced, which is really cool. So the RC and the RX are different here. So the RC is going to come with the 18-inch rear wheel. So a lot of my customers have been buying the 300 two-stroke version, and they're like struggling to go from a 19 to an 18. They're trying to because you don't want to buy a rim. You don't want to spend $450 or whatever on a rim. So the RC model is going to come with an 18-inch rim, which is what we're all looking for. Looks like the brakes are the same. Still has the lightweight lithium battery. It does say it has the KYB 48mm closed cartridge forks, and then the KYB rear shock, which is great because that's what everybody wants when they're doing the races. They just didn't clarify if it's valved for the off-road world or if it's valved for the motocross world. My hope is that they valved it for the off-road guys. We don't need the RX suspension in the woods. We just rode an RX last week, so we might have some videos on that. Yeah, Jared. We have a video of Jared Fortner riding that on the channel. Obviously, electric start. They did shave the option for the kickstart off the case. So I'm just looking at the initial picture here, and I'm going to put it up here. So there's no option for the kickstart, and that's okay. If you look at the Honda version, I'm just trying to find a picture. There's no kickstart option, and same with the Yamaha. So kickstarts on four strokes don't help if you have a dead battery anyway. You have to have a perfect 12-volt battery on a four-stroke for it to run. So not having a kickstart is okay. It's kind of going away when you're talking fuel-injected bikes. Obviously, if they came out with a two-stroke version of this bike, they could leave the kickstart nub on there because betas are still carbureted, and we could still get away with a kickstart and keep riding. So no kickstart option on the RC model. Ignition map, there is 2 maps plus traction control. Which all of that, if you've heard my videos in the past, I don't usually see a big difference in that. So I'm not sure. I don't usually try to talk up the ignition maps. Hopefully it does. Hopefully you can put it in rain mode, put it in traction control, and hopefully if you're in a mud race, it'll tame that 450 down a little bit. Because the 450 is a big bike. Like, I thought this model would have come out in like a 350. We don't sell a ton of 450s. Nobody does. Like, it doesn't matter what brand it is. 450s are not a huge seller. So I was kind of shocked that their first run at this is the 450. Why not the 350? It's way more of an off-road friendly bike. Anyway, I am proud of Beta. They did put the larger gas tank back on this because for the motocross versions, they went down to like a 1.9, and they did put the 2.4 gallon tank back on this RC. And compared to the Honda, which I just lost my specs, it was like 2.1, and the Yamaha was also 2.1. So Beta does have a little more fuel capacity. Obviously, we can do the IMS gas tanks on these. It gets you back up to 3.5. So if you're going to do a GNCC, a 3-hour hair scramble, you would want the bigger 3.5. You won't have to stop and fill it though. That's the beauty of the Beta 4-strokes, is you can get away with a whole race on an IMS tank, not stopping. They did put the handguards back on there, the flag style. They're not the strong ones. I was looking for one with like metal in it. They're not like the strong metal mount. So they're handguards. That's a weak bullet point to me because you're not going to keep those on there. It is the diaphragm clutch, so hydraulics still. They didn't take any of that away. And then it does come with an O-ring chain because I noticed on the Beta RX model, their motocross version, when I took Bryn, this is almost a year ago now when that came out, we went to an indoor track when we first got the bike, and his chain was incredibly loose within like 15 minutes of riding it. So I'm glad they went back to an O-ring chain. It's going to last longer. It'll last most of the season, or at least they do for us. And then I don't see a kickstand anywhere on this bike though, which is interesting. So I could be wrong, but in their pictures here, there's only like 6 pictures. There's one guy leaning this thing over in a corner. There is no kickstand, which kind of stinks. Because if you look at the Honda and the Yamaha, they're both showing kickstands. So would have loved to seen a kickstand on this thing. Real quick before we wrap this video up. So the Beta comes in at $10,999, and it's really hard to talk MSRP in these videos because they're on YouTube forever, and people can call me in a year and be like, oh, you're wrong, of course. So as of today, when this video is being made, retail on this bike is basically $11,000, $10,999, which is $1,000 more than the Honda and $900 more than the Yamaha. So some differences. What do you gain? I think Yamaha is KYB. So you don't get a kickstand with the Beta. You do get the skid plate, which the other brands have. You do get more fuel capacity with the Beta. You get the hydraulic clutch with the Beta. And there's no warranty with these, but there's a pretty strong program behind Beta. If you ever had a problem or if you've read any chat forums, Beta takes care of the customer in a big way. So they can't say warranty, and I'm not saying there is a warranty. I'm just saying if you had a problem, they'll work with you. I think the rims and the hubs are a better quality on the Beta bikes. Split engine case, so your engine oil is not mixed in with your clutch oil. And I do not know on the Yamaha or Honda if it's like that. I don't know if my old Honda back in 2008 was a single engine case, so your clutch fiber oil was mixing through the engine. I don't know if Honda has separated that out. I've never studied it. And the only other bike we can compare this to is going to be the KTM 450. I can never get their names right. XC-F. So KTM's version of this is considerably more expensive. It's $1,200 more than the Beta. So the KTM is $12,199. So Beta did a good job. Typically, I'm not competing against the Yamaha or the Honda like in the showroom. I'm competing against the KTM. So it's cool that Beta came in $1,200 less than the KTM. So congrats to Beta on that. Thank you, Beta, so much for starting to make this model. I look forward to future models because I think we'll order less of other things and fill the showroom up with these. Again, Jared at 3Cs. I'm back in town. I'm excited. The first real off-road race bike offered from Beta. And as an off-road family, we race every weekend. Couldn't be more excited about it. If you like the video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I would appreciate it. Enjoy the ride, and we'll see you on the trail.